reached as the checkpoint for that game and for the war game where you can upload the same point stats to the war game and start playing from there with your best HEP-M ever so far. Even if afterwards you decreased from that level and upload your M and T from the latest entry with the best HEP-M, you've reached ever so far in the sports game and upload it to the war game. The movie, however, is a combination between the two games and moreover something new in itself, because it can show the sports game city maps world of the most interesting cities for parkour, until technology will enable to play a real-world map game. Same in the movie, it is portraying my fantasy gaming world as real but symbolizing and simulating morals and conclusions regarding our world, but as a fantasy dream world in itself, showing a spiritually perfect world and genetic souls, who just train sports and learn wisdom and develop supernatural powers, love in their families and connectivity with God. Then they encounter an invading opposition out of hell and fight it off gradually, but also showing the before and aftermath in technological terms regarding how the perfectly robotic automated world works in combination with nature, how it is destroyed by war, and how it is rebuilt. The game character isn't the same as in the movie because in the game your only supernatural power is your endurance. In the war game, your supernatural powers develop due to your successions in the game by upgrades gradually getting better and better. In the movie, the hero character we will focus on is the sort of messiah of or Son Goku, who is the strongest person and will battle Satan eventually. In the offline mode of the games, you are that player. You are the hero, the main character. Of course, you can train in the offline mode and upload your player's stats to the online mode too. In the offline war game, you start off as a sports game but gradually get more supernatural powers than every human around you due to the invasion. Unlike the online game where you fight alongside other players who might be stronger than you, for example shooting laser beams and electricity, lightning bolts, and the four elements at incredible speed, force, and rate, and flying through the air at different speeds due to each one's level like a helicopter or plane or spaceship or bird, and doing all kinds of amazing stuff Dragon Ball Z style, so you all see an atmosphere of war only without guns and bombs, just supernatural being good versus evil like in ancient Hindu stories and paintings. And you as the hero playing character will gradually supersede and surpass the power of angels and aliens, good or bad, and become the strongest creature ever in the offline game and movie, but the online version is freely open to real-time humanity's growing potential development to master in your own free time. The movie shows also the sports game turning into the war game and ending with good triumphing and peace everlasting. The movie starts at a relatively futuristic point in time for humanity, but when we will get to that point in time, we won't experience the game and movies. That is one of the main differences between the games and movies from real life. The movie also concentrates on the life of the main character as DBZ does on the life of Son Goku even before he knew he was the one. Just a little better than everyone in everything. Then after the invasion starts, he's also just a little better than everyone at killing evil and rewardingly exponentially so with supernatural powers, becoming the strongest creature who ever lived and lives forever. It also shows the efforts of all the various creatures in the war, good or bad, as in animals, supernatural beings, angels, and aliens. It also shows science, sports, meditation, dreams, having fun, nature, and love. Then there is the aspect which isn't in the game at all, which is the connection between the game's dream world and the real world, as in showing that what happens in our perfect heaven is a result of the same invasion happening on the physical plane in our real world in famous capital cities and the world-known locations, for example, and showing the heavenly creatures as the soul noticing the body's struggle on the physical plane as planet Earth and others begin to be invaded by evilness, and showing a correlation to it happening for real as it really is, to show and warn the worldwide public that on one side it is all fiction, fun, and games, but on the other side there's a real element to the story that you have to consider and change in the real world if you don't want the same results as the moral from the movie. The other piece of information that you can take with you from the movie is the image of the perfect world. It will be a computerized model we can all strive to achieve and create in our world to get to heaven's infinity. Infinity, the sports game. For sports, ball game, parkour, martial arts, fitness. A GTA, Watch Dogs, Sleeping Dogs kind of surreal world playing ground in a realistic environment, like Unreal Tournament without guns kind of atmosphere conditions. Like a giant PK park with most structures for PK use with buildings, a character with supernatural endurance in terms of crashes, fighting and falling. Players could only be beaten and lose fighting points, but people don't work, don't have guns, but do drive cars and bikes and have only realistic parkour and martial arts moves. Tekken 3 was the best example of, and if possible those exact characters with those exact moves and more will be played, but only the realistic male ones because I don't support female fights and violence. Never liked it in games neither. Visual camera distance will be implemented in fights, and will return to aerial view afterwards. Besides, of course, there will be a standard character we will create who will have all the moves I show in my video library. That character will be editable as in Sims, so you can make
multi-dimensional universe used in the series. There is an all-out war with spaceships across the universe between the two sides. I see it all in my head. It is very hard to describe in writing, but use your imagination. Supernatural powers and creatures, alien technology, robots and biomechanical androids, a multi-planetary universal and multi-dimensional Star Wars type of battle, genetically modified creatures, heaven and hell fighting the battle of Armageddon. All the cards are on the table. The rabbit is out of the hat. And everything humanity feared will be destroyed by all the good angelic powers in this series in the last battle of good versus evil as represented by Satan versus Jesus in a full scale. Revelation like in the times of Atlantis and Krishna with Vimanas, Merkavas, and like the battle between Moses and Pharaoh, and probably many others, like Zeus and the Titans and all other mythologies coming alive for this battle, giants and Nephilim, fallen angels, the army of God and human hero characters fighting hell unleashed. It would be too big of a project and too unbelievable to put it in a real-life movie to make it worthwhile, so the only way to show it is to make a computer-animated Final Fantasy style movie/S and PlayStation game/S. All of that happens on a spiritual dimension of the world and the universe. It all starts when an energetic shift takes place in the world, and all human beings start acquiring supernatural powers they are gradually becoming more aware of. These are the powers of their soul. They are becoming unbreakable, indestructible, and very powerful in the physical sense as well. They begin having powers of levitation and flying, instant healing, influential powers of the mind, telekinesis, instant teleportation, remote viewing, contact with angels and aliens for their allies. They can gradually create and manifest their imaginations in physical matter from thin air, shoot energy balls, control nature and the elements, and alike. Then they start seeing the spiritual hidden dimension inside this world, and they realize the dark forces have been fighting their angel protectors alone all this time, fighting off the opposition to preserve the human way of life. Their wisdom increases very fast due to them and upgrading capacity of their thoughts in time, and their connection with their spiritual guides and guardians and ally forefather humanoid and human-like alien races. They can communicate with animals and God. Many of them start seeing and talking to Jesus Christ simultaneously. They can perform miracles, learn and teach the inner science of it, and teach each other how to increase their supernatural powers for good. They start to understand they are in a spiritual war that goes on all the time, and the forces of evil are trying to conquer this world and get into heaven. The humans start helping the angels who are fighting alone all this time. Humans themselves become angelic creatures, and they understand their level of evolution is now merging the spiritual realm with the physical realm. Death is vanquished. Nobody's dying anymore. Old people get their youth renewed spontaneously. Dead people rise, and everybody have an everlasting life. Humanity starts developing spaceships to help the war on other planets with other races. And they have the ability to see the spiritual world within inside any physical world on another dimension, and they fight the evil creatures just like the illusions that they are, and each one of them is vanquished and disappears. The worldwide changes in the unification of humanity in spiritual practices elevates the energetic state of the planet to the super